Boria, when are you going to divorce your wife? Here she stands, waist like a wasp, legs up to her ears, a beautiful bun on her head, fox eyes, everything as it should be, even been angry, beautiful, and flawless, like the cover of an expensive magazine. Boria, I'm talking to you. Olyana even stomped her foot to get her lover's attention. Pulechka. Why these complications? Boris Zalibezil. Papers. Dividing property with her. He'll be jerking me around. And I don't want you to iron my trousers or stand by the stove. There's delivery and laundry. Uliana clinked out. But I don't want to share you with it. She scrunched up her nose, as if sour milk was poured into the coffee. The conversation was repeated, not for the first time, and always ended with nothing. Boris had been married for 18 years. His son Zhenya was finishing school. He met his wife Vera at a friend's wedding, and then she seemed like a suitable candidate to him. Modest, diligent, friendly, works as a kindergarten teacher. Saturation came faster than the first anniversary, 10 years of their marriage. During this time, Boris himself rose to the rank of deputy director of an advertising agency, while she remained the same teacher. She cooked the same porridge for breakfast, wore the same polka-dot skirts, and the same bob haircut. Boris tried to make peace with his conscience, then gave up on everything. Let the wife be at home, and outside of it she's not there. So such a prominent, impressive, attractive man quickly found entertainment for himself. One time stellar, infrequent dates with silly students. This fluttered Boria's vanity, reminded him of the wild years of youth. But then he accidentally met Uliana in the work parking lot. More accurately, he took her place. They argued for a long time, until Boris appraised the debater from the right angle and gave in. Then, as an apology, he offered to treat her to dessert at a coffee shop. Over a cup of coffee, he found out that the new acquaintance owns a small cosmetics shop. Educated, foreign language, and very good herself. Everything started spinning on its own. First innocent hangouts in cafes, then movies, exhibitions, hotels, a trip to another city. And after that, Boris started disappearing at his mistress's place, at nights, under various pretexts. He was slightly annoyed that Uliana didn't really need him. She could buy for herself.
Buy yourself an expensive
a
souvenir.
bag. Could have called cleaning and gone to a business meeting. Vera has never been like this. She timidly asked for help with any problem. Only the wife's requests annoyed him, but from Uliana he craved them. However, the shop owner over time became annoyed with Boris' double life. Because of this, plans were falling through, and in general, as a dominant woman, Uliana wanted to fully possess her man. Yuli, I explained to you that it's a nerve-wracking situation. Everything is good as it is, but why do you need to get into this grey mundane? Boris rolled his eyes. And you just can't get out of it. Uliana parried. He irritably squeezed his temples with his fingers. His mistress was becoming more and more intrusive. But he definitely did not plan to divorce. Everything suited him. 2 women in his life, and each was responsible for her own. Uliana for celebration, brightness, youth, Vera for home, comfort, coziness. It was impossible to mix.
Uliana was in a good mood on the way home. She just agreed with a new supplier and was already calculating the increase in profits. The phone rang when I was stopped at a traffic light halfway home. Julian, hello. Could you pick up Stepa from the kindergarten? My brother pleaded over the phone. Zana got a flat tire, waiting for tow truck. But I can't leave. The board of directors meeting is about to start. I can, she answered after a slight hesitation. Send me the address of the garden. Uliana loved her nephew, even though she didn't see him often. Clever beyond his years, Stepa was supposed to go to first grade next year. The brother joyfully croaked on the phone, and soon the phone beeped with a text message. Uliana entered the address into the navigator and followed a new route. She had never had to pick up her nephew from kindergarten before. Uliana got a bit lost in the hallways, but eventually found the right group and peered through the door behind the children's lockers. "Hello, I am Stepan Sokolov's aunt." "Aunt Ulia!" Stepan rushed to her with joyful shouts, but everything. There is no doubt in kinship. The teacher laughed and turned her eyes to Uliana's face. When the causes of two women met, they were pierced by a vague realization of something. Uliana hurriedly began to gather Stepan. They were already leaving the kindergarten doors when the young woman was shouted at by name from behind. "Uliana, wait!" Vera called her. "Maybe the place and time are not the most suitable, but I know about you and my husband." "Great, the better," bristled Uliana. "So you know that he will soon file for divorce?" Vera shook her head, but, to the young woman's surprise, there was no regret, no sorrow, no grief in her look. "Uliana, let's meet and talk. I have no complaints against you," Vera calmly requested. Uliana hesitated, but she prepared for something completely different. "I understand your suspicions." Vera nodded. "If you still want to talk, I finish work at 5 o'clock tomorrow." Uliana didn't say anything. She tightened her grip on her nephew's hand and started walking to the car. Hans nervously tapped on the steering wheel. 10 minutes to 5. 5 minutes still. Time stretched like rubber. For the first time in her life, Uliana wasn't quite ready for a new turn of events. Vera came out of the kindergarten gate and saw her rival. She greeted briefly, opened the door, and took a seat in the passenger seat. A thought swiftly crossed Uli's mind that this woman didn't seem quiet, modest, a shy fool, as Boris always described her. "I won't keep you in suspense for long," Vera began. "I've known about my husband's affairs for a long time." Uliana raised an eyebrow. "Yes, about the novels," Vera confirmed, noticing her surprise. "Alas, far from the first." "Did you invite me to boast about your knowledge?" Uliana asked Kolka sharply. "No. I promise that in 3 months Boris will be completely and entirely yours," Vera assured her. "I will disappear from his life, and all I ask in return is to keep silent about our meeting." The cosmetic store owner was puzzled. The offer was simple and achievable. It's just that it's served with a strange sauce. Though, what's the difference now? Yerbe, where is the guarantee? Uliana was doubtful. "The guarantee is that for all the years of my wild adventures, I played the role of a dutiful wife. Let me play out the last act, and I will leave the stage." Vera looked at her insightfully. Uliana hesitated and nodded. The women exchanged meaningful glances, and Vera left the car, slamming the door. Boris had a way of making people fall for him, which is what happened with Vera when they met. She was a young, naive girl, having just graduated from university. She dreamt of a happy family and a reliable man by her side. At first, it was just like that. But when their son grew up and went to 5th grade, she felt something was off for the first time. She found a woman's hairpin in her husband's car. He then joked that his colleagues had planted it for a prank. Vera swallowed this, though she didn't believe it, and then everything escalated, like a snowball. After a year, he began to come home with the scent of other people's perfumes. 2 years later, no less red-faced, lied about working nights at the agency. 3 years later,
stopped answering calls in the evening. Vera endured, gritting her teeth, because mother always said, endure. A man is like a dog. He will have his fun, and will still come back to you. The son should not know anything, but at the moment when Vera found a whole list of mistresses on her husband's phone, she, as they say, snapped. That day she stopped tormenting herself and quietly cried in the bath in the evenings. It was necessary to pull together the fragile girl and pull herself out of this swamp of exemplary lies. Vera realized everything needed to be prepared. She knew that the apartment belonged to her husband, meaning she wouldn't be able to claim half of it in case of a divorce. Yet, you have to live somewhere. Get Zhenya on his feet. Vera's mother had long settled in a tiny one-room apartment, and it was already cramped for 2 people in the hallway. So, it was absolutely impossible to go to her with a son. And then she remembered that she recently inherited an old country house with a good plot from her grandmother on her father's side. Vera didn't think for long. For about 2 months, she quietly sold the country house, invested the money from the sale into a brand new flat in a good building at the excavation stage. I have arranged it.
All for the son. There was only to decide where to
Waiting
go.
for the construction and handover of the house. In the meantime, Vera was saving money, little by little, but her life was calm. Her husband had long become a stranger. It was hard to maintain a normal atmosphere for him, but Vera worked hard, knowing that there was still a little left. Sometimes she wondered, why doesn't Boris just divorce her? And the answer was annoyingly obvious. It's convenient for him, and he totally believed in the fool wife, who sees nothing, hears nothing, and cannot do it herself. Well, let them believe for a while. When Vera was handed the keys to the brand new apartment, she felt truly happy for the first time in many years. All that was left was to buy the necessary household items, and it was possible to move. Thankfully, Vera gathered the necessary sum. She ordered the appliances and the bed on the same day. A couple of cupboards and other household odds and ends. On her son's majority, she played the role of a perfect wife and housewife for the last time. Boris was drinking wine, rejoicing, congratulating his offspring on the start of adult life. Eugene was nodding and smiling tensely. He knew everything already and decided to support and care for his mother. It was a huge effort for Vera to convince him to keep playing the assigned role. Boris was returning home late at night from Uliana. Lately, she's been pestering him about divorce. They had a lot of fun, went for couple massages, to restaurants, to the pool. Evgeny finished school with a silver medal and is planning to enter a prestigious medical school. Vera took more groups of children and went through additional education courses for educators and teachers. She herself appeared at home late, did not ask extra questions, quickly cooked, cleaned up, and went to sleep. Boris felt like he was in control, a man who had everything in order, a beautiful mistress, an exemplary
Fashion, smarty.
wife. Ça He did it himself. Oh, Boris Vitalyevich, he mentally praised himself. Entering the flat, Boris was surprised at how quiet and dark it was. Where has everything gotten to? He mumbled, taking off his boots. The corridor and rooms echoed with emptiness and semi-darkness. The switch flicked, and only when Boris noticed the absence of familiar items where they should be, he realized...
Go zero to the kitchen.
Into the son's room, into the bedroom. There were no wife's belongings there. Everything was gone from Yevgeny's room, including the carpet and chandelier. The kitchen bore just signs of hurried packing, remnants of scotch tape, film and torn bags, some kind of trash everywhere. Stunned, Boris dialed his wife's number first, then his son's. But there was silence on the line, both here and there. Reality wiped out his smugness, rigidity.
Sobering slaps.
In the first months, Uliana was jubilant. Boris was entirely hers. They spent their free time from work in idleness and squandering money. Vera filed for divorce. Boris tried to resist, but she was adamant. Moreover, Vera never stayed alone with him and discussed everything either in the presence of a friend or with her mother. She was not thrilled about her daughter's decision, but kept silent. By autumn, the couple divorced. To celebrate this event, Boris and Uliana flew to Turkey. Vera, on the other hand, was preparing for the start of her student son's school year. Everything turned out as Uliana wanted. The quiet wife withdrew herself, and now nothing interfered with her and Boris. But gradually the idyll began to crumble. Boris, left without a cook and a cleaner, practically moved in with Uliana, even though she resisted. He was tired of constantly spending money on deliveries and restaurants, and it was expensive. Somehow, he started begging for homemade borscht or cutlets. Uliana unflappably fried him an omelette. Anna hated cooking since she was a child. At most, she could chop a salad and make tea. She started to notice crumpled shirts, scattered socks, garbage in the kitchen. Uliana put up with it for a couple of weeks, then threw her lover out into the hallway and angrily pushed him out of the apartment. "Clean up your act. Hire a cook and a cleaner. Then come." She snubbed me. "I didn't hire for these positions." Confused, Boris slowly went to his empty, cold, and dark apartment. 2 years have passed. Vera just finished baking a cake for the celebration and was in a pleasant pre-holiday fuss. 2 friends were supposed to visit, but most importantly, she was looking forward to meeting a girl named Zhenya. Suddenly, she heard the doorbell ring. Vera wiped her hands on the apron and hurried to open the door, glancing at the mirror on the way. She didn't want to face her potential daughter-in-law with flour on her nose. "You're early." Vera started when she opened the door, but she stopped mid-sentence. "Hello, Vera." On the contrary, Boris was standing at the threshold. He didn't look good. Scruffy cheeks, wrinkled t-shirt, dirty sneakers. "What's the matter, Borya?" The woman looked at him condescendingly. "How did you find me?" Zhenya blurted out. Boris looked down. "I want to congratulate you and hopefully have a chat. Thanks for the greeting, but we have nothing to talk about." She looked at the lilies in the man's hands. "You can give it to any girl on the street." Vera, who's there?" came from the apartment. A man peeked out of the room with a screwdriver in one hand and a couple of screws in his teeth. "You got the wrong door." Vera replied without turning around. "I understand." Boris nodded. "Goodbye, Vera." She closed the door and exhaled. He assembled the chair, screwed the legs to the chairs, so everything's ready for the guests, said Denise, smiling. "Not bad for a kiddie water polo coach. Maybe you should get married for an hour with such talents." Vera joked, hugging him. "Then you get the unlimited and free subscription for the rest of your life." Dennis kissed her cheek. "Oh, why does it smell like something's burnt?" Vera ran to the kitchen in a hop. Dennis watched her with a languid look and muttered, "A dream. A dream, not a woman." Voiced specifically for the World of Stories channel. Thanks to everyone for listening. Subscribe to the World of Stories channel. Would appreciate if you like the video. See you